What's up, YouTube? Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to do a quick breakdown and outlook for the Forex weekly liquidity outlook. So what does this mean? Basically, I'm going to be looking at primarily at the potential drawn liquidity for the week ahead and base my analysis off of that. Then kind of base my trading ideas or trading decisions each morning based on that idea as long as it holds. So new chart colors as well, trying something new. If you want to copy and paste them, this is what I'm currently using. Just this third one from the left, this gray at 23%, and my darker color, fourth one from the right at 45%. Very basic, just going for a little bit of a cleaner, washed out look. So starting off on GU. So first of all, just going to quickly group all of these markups. I'm just going to hide them. And then let's just jump to the weekly, just to get a weekly overview. What's been happening on the weekly. So my main bias is bullishness. And the reason being is we've traded below the south side liquidity, below this low. We traded towards the upside and we had a bullish close above 3 weeks of price action, closed bullish above it. So my idea currently is to see a continuation higher, maybe a little pullback, but then continuation up higher, potentially up into, I'm not sure if all of the brokers or everyone will have this gap, but to trade up into this area, up towards the upside, or possibly taking out the high. So that's kind of the idea for the coming weeks. I'm not saying that the next weekly candle will be a massive push all the way towards the upside, but then at least looking to see if price can trade up to this high in the coming weeks. So that's kind of the analysis for GU if we look at the weekly time frame. So let's have a quickly look down at the daily. And then if we're on daily, I'm just going to remove these two, and I'm just going to quickly add my analysis. This one. Okay. So we have it on now. So what are we looking at here? So we have the buy side liquidity as marked on the weekly time frame as well, and then this most recent high above previous price action. It's interesting that we can see that price failed to close above that high, but we did have a strong bullish close towards the upside. We're coming from the reaction off of this imbalance right over here. So we're reacting off of the imbalance. So my thought process is then that we'd be looking and seeking potential buy side liquidity towards the upside because we've reacted off of this sell side towards the downside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at to see continuation longs up higher. And then we're just going to go to the 50 minutes. We won't be going lower than the 50 minutes, but on the 50 minutes, well, we'll do the 4 hour. Sorry, I forgot the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we can see price reacting off of that imbalance. We're trading higher. Then we can just look at the details over here. We had a structure break over here. We left this down closing candle that came from this zone over here. Broke structure towards the upside. Now I'm looking at this line just showing this order block, 4 hour order block, and then this is a 50-minute zone on the lower time frame. So those are some areas that I'm interested in. If we are not going to respect here, then potentially we'll be going lower down into the sell side liquidity, retest, and then trading deeper into this imbalance. So that is if we do not go higher. That is a play for shorts. If we close below this 50-minute block, potentially trading then towards the sell side liquidity, which is this low, and then deeper into this imbalance. That's the bearish play. Bullish play, we seek the buy side liquidity above this high, and then potentially beyond towards this high. But we can also just keep the idea that we could potentially just sweep this high and then trade lower, and then only go higher. Remember that the weekly time frame, I'm leaning more towards bullishness. So that is kind of what I'm looking at on the 4 hour, and then just the 50 minutes. Look at the 50-minute price action. If we get just it all zoomed in. So here's our 50-minute block. We had this structure break of this high, towards the upside. We can see the trend is bullish. If we just mark out the 15-minute structure, if we mark out the high, low, high, 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 low, high, high. So we have printed a recent higher high. So we're looking for price to create a lower high. Somewhere we're looking for price to create a lower high, followed by a continuation, either towards equal highs or a new higher high. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. So looking for a pullback into this zone. So we have the 4-hour block marked out there as well, followed by the 15-minute zone over here. So potentially something coming down and then going up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on GU. So let's have a look at EU. 50-minute showing potentially a short, but before we get into the 50-minute time frame, let's first have a look at the high time frame. So let's just create a group, call this 50 minutes. We just hide that for now. Let's go to the weekly time frame. So EU, the weekly time frame is printing a little bit of a more of a difficult picture to read, because if we just look at the past few weeks price action, unlike GU, EU did not bullish close above. We're still staying in the range of the previous week high and low. So that tells me that we're still in this consolidation. If we look at this full body candle, that high, that low, price is continuously just sweeping above, sweeping below, and not really closing above any of those significant highs and lows. So currently for me, EU is in consolidation on the weekly time frame. If we transpose then this to the daily time frame, maybe we get some more information. So if we look at price sweeping below this low, and then we have buy side liquidity resting above that high. So in right off the bat, my first impression or first idea is that we would potentially reach for the buy side liquidity above this high. So coming into the week of bullish price action. So I think ideally I would look for longs, but we could see a potential pullback and then a continuation further towards the upside. I do think long term this imbalance is really juicy and looking quite delicious. I know this wick, so let's see how price behaves around that level. So let's just, because that wick reacted off of the imbalance, I'm curious to know if it's going to go above it. If it goes above it, it will most probably drive deeper into that imbalance, or we will just react off of maybe a little zone on the lower time frames in there and then go lower. But for now, my bias is bullish going in the new week, going into the new week. If we just quickly have a look at the 4-hour then. 4-hour had this big push down, swept the sell side, retracing back up. And we know from experience that often this means that we just continue up higher. This was an impulsive manipulative move caused by news. And potentially this is the first area that we could look at for price to return to. So definitely considering the bullish push up higher. We are in a 15-minute bullish trend, even though the high time frames can be confusing. We are in a 15-minute bullish trend. So this does look, if we look at this again, this does look like something, but it could just be the price is reacting off of this imbalance, fair value gap, for price to, for us to then see it go higher. So I'm not necessarily looking for sells. Preferably sells would be after we've broken this sell side. If then we've broken it, created some key zones to sell off of, then I'd be looking for sells. If we get something like this, would be more juicy for sales, but not this necessarily. Even this, there's no clear 50-minute zone for me in this area. So I'd rather than just mark this as most recent buy side liquidity, and sell side liquidity. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this week on GU and EU. Let's see how the session opens. Let's see what each day presents. And then it's very, very important. Each day, you just want to look for clear session highs and lows in the London session or the New York session that price can trade to in that session. And you want to target those highs and lows. Easier said than done, but it can be as simple as that. So currently, what I'd be more willing to look at is this 50-minute block as demand. So something like this, targeting the buy side liquidity. That could be a possible play as well. Okay, guys, that's it from me for today. Hope you'll have a lovely week and see you in the next one.